Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. Today is Sunday, May 16th. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and today is an exciting day. We have the final day of the NBA regular season. Tons of things still to be decided as far as seeding, the play-in tournament, all of the shuffling of who's going to be in what spot. We know the teams. We know the 20 teams that are going to participate out of the 30, but where in those different standings is still to be determined. So what we're going to do today on this NBA podcast is go through and touch on each game, determine if the game has anything to do with the standings. In other words, are the players going to all sit? Are they going to play full teams and go for it? Or is it going to be a combination thereof? So it is definitely tricky, but we feel we have a great edge on this type of a scenario. It is throw everything out the window as far as, just counting on optimizers and trying to determine, just looking on salary, et cetera, what is going to be the best plays. This is going to be the good old-fashioned coach talk, break it down game by game, figure out who's going to get the minutes, who's trying, who's resting, and determining to hand build a lineup or two that is going to get in there and take some stuff down. So could not be more excited for today or the entire NBA playoffs that starts on Tuesday. So tomorrow, by the way, there will not be an NBA podcast, not because we don't do 7-day-a-week NBA coverage, because we do, but tomorrow is a dark day. There's no games on Monday. So Andrew and I will be back on Tuesday as the NBA playoff contests of that play-in tournament begins to see where everybody else gets seeded. The top 6 seeds in both conferences basically get a full week off after today before the regular playoffs start after this play-in event. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We can't wait to attack it. We have a terrific record the last 5 years in the NBA playoffs. We'd certainly jump up even higher in winning percentage. And along with that, we decided to give our best offer of the year. If you want to join and you haven't come around to doing it, this is the time. When you join, you get 2 months, the entire NBA playoff package, May 22nd through July 22nd, for only $111. So a deep discount to our regular pricing, but we wanted to get as many people in as we could to enjoy these NBA playoff winnings that we're anticipating we're going to get. So just go to dfscoachtalk.com and you can sign up right there. And remember, when you sign up for that or anything else that we offer, you get everything that we bring forward. So just because you're signing up for the NBA playoff package for 2 months, you'll get all of our lineups, all of our content for Major League Baseball and PGA. And we do MLB every day, 7 days a week. If they're playing, we are providing lineups and content. And then when the NBA season ends, then we're going to be doing some MLB podcasts as well. We do a weekly PGA podcast, and we supply lines on Wednesday night for the tournament and Friday nights for the weekend only. So all of that is included. We also have an awesome Saturday meeting at noon Eastern every week where we go over all kinds of important information on strategic way to approach DFS, bankroll management, contest selection, on and on. So we love that. We pride ourselves on it. And then as a member, you also get free access to me. If you want a one-on-one and go over whatever specific questions that you have, we'll get it on the calendar. I've met with, I'd say, almost about half of our members one-on-one already. And it is great conversation. We learn from each other. We discuss strategies. So you'd want to take advantage of that also. All right. The challenge and the cool aspect of how we're going to do this today with 30 teams playing and being solo, I don't want it to take a million years to get through this, because we have games starting very early today. It's 1 o'clock, basically 1 o'clock games. So here's what I would like to do. I'm going to go through the BetUS.com.pa odds for the games, one of our wonderful sponsors. And then we're going to look at the standings and how that affects that game, and it's certainly the most important thing right now. And then as of right now, who's in and who's out. But that's going to change a lot through this morning, for the early games, and then all afternoon we'll get all kinds of information for the evening games. So very important day to stay in touch with us. We will be posting some things on Twitter. We're at DFS Coach Talk. Andrew is at Language Olympic, and I am at Joe Sarvadi, JoeSarvadi. But if you want all the, information piece by piece as it comes in throughout the day, you jump in our Discord. You can get as little as a 3-day pass for $10 if that's the direction you want to go, to check us out, see how we do what we do. You're welcome to do that. But being in Discord is the key, because we had some pivots again yesterday. We cashed really well in the NBA early slate, in all the single entries and cash games. And then in the evening single game, we had some success in cash there. And so we're following this through, but there's pivots throughout the day. And, sometimes we don't know what some of these teams are going to do until 25 minutes before the game. And that's where we have to make our pivots. So very important, because one bad start or pivot can cost you the entire slate. Okay, here we go. We're going to start off with the 110, 105, 110. Let's call it a 1 o'clock, just to make sure that we're all in and don't get anybody shut out. So 1 o'clock Eastern, we have the Charlotte Hornets and the Washington Wizards. The Wizards are favored by 6.5, and it's a 228.5 total. As far as the standings go right now for those two teams, we have Washington and Charlotte have the identical record, 33 and 38. And they're in that 7 through 10 play-in tournament. But it's important where you end in that, because if you end to the top, you only have to win once. If you toward the bottom, you got to win twice. So that is an important game, because Boston's already locked in the 7. Nobody can touch them. But 8, 9, and 10, Charlotte, Washington, Indiana, dead tie, 33 and 38. So this is going to tell a lot of who finishes in those 3 spots, which they all really need to win. So this is both teams are going to go after it. Here's what we have for the early news. We know Hayward and Martin are out. Probable lineup is Ball, Rozier, McDaniels, Washington, and Biyombo. For Washington, the question is Beal going to play? We have Beal and Neto both as questionable, so that's very important news to follow throughout the day. Garrison Matthews is probable, and that's really where they stand. So, obviously everything's going to come down to that news. If Beal happens to sit again, Westbrook should be a plug and play. If Beal plays, it still may be a Westbrook game, but I definitely want to have some exposure here. I'm going to assume Beal is in, and they are going to want to win this game. So I think he plays a decent amount of minutes, but he is pricey, so I'd still lean Westbrook here. I think you can get Hachimura at a good price if you want to go that route. If Beal is out, Hutchison is also a very cheap option. It's going to be tough, though. I mean, your couple value plays, you have so many to choose from. You're really going to be able to manipulate your lineup whichever way you want to, as far as stars and scrubs, mid-build, combination thereof. You can pretty much make any lineup combination you want. On the Charlotte side, it's tough now that they have Ball back playing pretty much unrestricted. That certainly pulls some away from Terry Rozier. Devontae Graham also has been getting his lately. McDaniels is a decent value off the bench. I am interested in LaMelo a little bit here, though. I think this game against Russ, Rozier is going to guard Russ, so that will take a little pressure off of LaMelo, and I think he's able to get it done. So possibly big spend up here if I go LaMelo and Russ, but there's a couple other guys that are also going to be into consideration. All right, game 2, Boston Celtics, New York Knicks, part of that 1 o'clock game group. Knicks favored by 11, and it's a 213. Didn't think you'd see Knicks being double-digit favorites over Boston this fast, but good for the Knicks, man. They've gotten it done. As far as those two teams and where it stands, this game means nothing to Boston whatsoever. They're locked in 7th, win, lose, or draw. So, are they going to play guys, sit guys? I would assume they sit all their regulars. That's probably going to be what the scenario is here. They really just need to get themselves, ready to roll for the playoff run here. As far as the Knicks go, it does matter. They could actually finish 4th, 5th, or 6th because they're dead tied with Atlanta, and 1 game behind is Miami. So the Knicks want to win this game. They do want to finish 4th so that they get that possibility of that 1 series at home. So I think they go out and they play this game to win, because they're going to get that rest being one of those top 6 seeds. So I'm expecting full run from the Knicks players. So who does that put into play here? Well, this could certainly be a blowout. I expect that it very well could. The double-digit spread is there for a reason. Right now, the Knicks have Peyton, Bullock, Barrett, Randall, and Noel. So they're regular guys, and their bench guys right now, their guards, from what we see, Rose and company are all available too. So we'll see what that news is. We know that the Knicks backcourt is crowded. So, not sure, if we want to take a risk there. Certainly R.J. Barrett or Julius Randle are both options. If they get their run and it's going to be against the B team from Boston, they could both be very good plays. Right now, a ton of guys listed out for Boston, and I think that group will grow. It was really a combination of Pritchard, Waters, Nesmith, Fournier, Cornette. Those will be your main guys playing. They haven't ruled Tatum out yet, but I think it would be asinine to play him in a game that doesn't matter. So we're going to follow that news closely. Certainly some value with some of the Boston guys, but the problem is you got the slowest team in the league in the Knicks that play really good defense. So not an exciting game on the Boston side. I do think a pay up for one of the better Knicks scorers is not a bad idea whatsoever. Okay, we go to game 3, the Indiana Pacers and Toronto Raptors. The Pacers are a 6-point favorite. It's a 229 over-under. And as we look at the NBA standings for Indiana and Toronto, we know Toronto has been eliminated. They do not care whatsoever in any way, shape, or form. So they're going to play their subs. Indiana, like I've mentioned, is in that 3-way deadlock with Charlotte and Washington for the 8, 9, 10 spot. So they need to win. They've been playing really interesting basketball, up, down, and all over the place. They have been inconsistent lately, but that's because they've had a ton of guys out. So it may be the same scenario today. Right now, Brogdon and Sabonis, Holiday, Lamb, and those guys are all, excuse me, need the double coffee today. Those guys I mentioned are all questionable. So we need all of that news, which formulates everything that they do. We know Sumner's out, Turner's out, And it looks like Holiday, LeVert, and Brissett will be in that starting lineup. If Sabonis doesn't play, then it's Goga season, SZN, again. And he did real well for me yesterday. If Sabonis is in, then Goga will be picking splinters out of his butt on the bench. Brogdon, they've listed him as questionable like crazy, and he never seems to play. So we got to watch that closely as well to see what happens if he's in or out. That affects that whole rotation, makes LeVert much more of a playable commodity. The G League and free agent squad of Toronto, right now it's penciled in for Flynn, Jalen Harris, Stanley Johnson, the great Stanley Johnson, Birch, and Freddie Gillespie, Baylor University player Freddie Gillespie. So those guys are doing fine, but Flynn had a good game. Harris is putting up points. Birch and Gillespie getting it done. So same scenario as yesterday with the Toronto guys. You definitely have some value plays there that make sense. I don't mind having some decent exposure to this game. I think there is potential for Toronto's young guys, because they're playing, 7-8 guys, to get enough minutes to be really valuable. And then Indiana trying to win this, even if they're a little shorthanded. If they're shorthanded, it's really better for us in DFS, because then we can zone in on a Goga or Sabonis or LeVert or however that plays out. So let's keep a close eye on that. And I do expect that to have an impact on the slate as well. All right, next game, the last 1 o'clock grouping here. It's the Phoenix Suns at the San Antonio Spurs. Phoenix is a 9-point favorite, and it is a 227 over-under. And in this game, we've got standings-wise, we've got San Antonio sitting at 10th, and that's where they are going to finish. So this game means zilch, zero, nada for the Spurs, which is, of course, Pop and the Spurs in a meaningless game. So expect about 12 minutes for the water boy, about 6 minutes each for the two guys that broom the sweat off the floor from underneath the basket. I mean, you're going to get a little bit of everything. So no Spurs will be in my lineup today. And let's talk about the Suns now. What does it look like for the Suns situation? They are 1 game behind Utah. So the question is, can they catch them? Who has that tiebreaker? And it looks as though it is the Suns. So if the Suns win and the Jazz lose, we could have a number 1 seed situation for Phoenix. So in that scenario, this is an important game for them. If they can have home court throughout the entire Western Conference to get to the NBA Finals, that's a big deal. So obviously it's a combination. The nice thing is Utah doesn't play till later, so it isn't going to affect Phoenix's efforts. Phoenix is going to try to smash and win this game against the Ball Boys of San Antonio to get themselves in position where then they force Utah, which is one of the later games, to win. So I expect Phoenix to come out and play their guys as long as it takes to secure this victory. It's all going to come down to, can San Antonio hang on in this game? If San Antonio finds a way to keep it closer, or Pop's mad scientist scheme is to get some of his regulars minutes together, since he did give some of them off the last game, no idea. The good part is, we're going to have some idea early on, what's going to happen with their lineup. So that's what we need to see. Because if the Spurs play some decent guys, I'm still not going to roster them because I know they're going to share minutes, but it would solidify Phoenix guys a little bit. So Paul, Booker, Bridges, those 3 specifically in play for me. Ayton is questionable, and Johnson is questionable. So, don't want to go with the bigs, don't want to really go down to their backups. So the main three, especially Paul, Booker, Bridges, some definite interest there. If the Spurs are going to play a lineup, it looks as though it's going to be competitive enough to get those guys, good minutes. Because again, they get a week off after this, in essence. So I think they go for it. I think Phoenix guy or two is a really smart play, and then you just have to pray the game stays close enough. But I'm not even going to read off the questionable, probable, doubtful, out guys for the Spurs, because number one, it doesn't mean much because he changes everything, and it's really almost their whole team. So we just have to see how that one plays out. Okay, next game. It's a 3:30 game. Memphis Grizzlies, Golden State Warriors. Golden State -5. It's a 230 over under. As we go to the standings here for Memphis and Golden State, guess what? They're tied. They're both 38 and 33. One of them's going to finish 8th. One of them's going to finish 9th. You say, does that make any difference? Yes, it makes a big difference. And it's a difference of having to win 1 or 2 games to get that last 8 spot in the standing. So it is like a playoff game for Golden State and Memphis. So that's exciting. We should get to see the best of both teams. It's a pretty good number. And, everything makes this game one of the better games, in my opinion, to roster on the board. And you can tell by the probable lineups. It's the regulars: Morant, Brooks, Anderson, Jackson, and Joe Val, Curry, Wiggins, Bazemore, Green, and Looney Tooney. So go for it with these guys. I mean, Curry, monster in play. I like Draymond a little bit. Ja Morant, Brooks in play. Joe Val in play. So this will be my highest owned game, considering there's 15 games on the slate. I don't want to completely load up somewhere, but this could be my most exposure. I could see, 2 Grizz and 1 Warrior, or vice versa. It is a nice pace-up game for Golden State and Memphis, as far as both teams do get up and down the floor. Golden State is, up there as far as that category goes. But both teams play decent defense, so it's not like, just make sure you have 4 or 5 guys from this lineup and then go on from there. 2-3 guys, I think, makes sense, because we know it's going to be a competitive game and we know it matters. So definitely some interest on that one. All right, next game we go to Houston Rockets, Atlanta Hawks. This begins the night portion of the slate. And we have Atlanta -11, a 232 over under. And as far as the playoffs go, we know Houston is way out of it. In fact, I believe they have the worst record in the entire league. If I'm not mistaken, they do. So there you go. They've clinched last of overall. So congratulations to the Houston Rockets, and whatever the hell happened with that whole fiasco there this season. It has been nuts. They do have some good young talent, though, that has potential down the road for sure. Atlanta, on the other hand, they are sitting in the 5th spot, and they need this game too, because they're tied with the Knicks, 4th and 5th. The Knicks have the tiebreaker right now, so obviously that can change if Atlanta wins and the Knicks lose. And then 1 game behind them is the Miami Heat in the 6th spot. So you got 4, 5, 6 jammed together. Certainly some interest, for Atlanta to win this game. Houston, who are they going to be playing? You know what? Right now, officially, here's the guys that are out: Bradley Brown, Gordon House, Nawaba Porter, Thomas Wood. All those guys are out. So it's going to be a 7 or 8 man rotation again. They have to have 8 to start the game. But, usually they play 7. One guy's sitting there with like a broken leg and cast on his arm, and, but he's the 8th guy sitting there. Right now, their starters are Augustine, Brooks, Tate, Martin, Olynyk. We know Olynyk's been on an amazing run. His price is massively high, and he gets Capella defense, so not probably going to go there. Kenyon Martin Jr. looking good, definitely a possibility here, as is Jayshawn Tate. I don't know about Augustine Brooks, not as comfortable with them, but Atlanta's backcourt is not great defensively. I think we could get a good game out of Trae Young. He's been trying to heal up, so I'm not sure how much they're going to push him. Bogdanovich has been terrific lately. He's certainly an option. As of right now, they are playing possibly without a few guys, but Snell and Herter are both probable. So if they play, that'll bump Solomon Hill out of that starting lineup. Okongwu is questionable, which doesn't seem like it means much, but it could get an extra 3-4 minutes for Capella, and Reddish remains out. So, I think this game has some value to it. Some of those young guys for Houston, specifically, a Martin or possibly a Brooks. I mean, the young guys are going to get minutes. Some of those other young fellas off the bench for them also all in play because they could get 30 minutes and rack up some stats. So like to have some one-off exposure to Houston. We'll consider even two if the value fits. From the Atlanta side, again, like I say, I think, for me, Young, Bogdanovich, Capella, all considerations. I think they want to win this game, and I think that they'll get decent enough minutes for that group. But if everybody's in except Okongwu, then it is going to be a little crowded. We need to see for sure if Gallo's playing, but it very well could be a game that can sting you, especially if Atlanta gets out to a big lead. So I'm not extremely excited about this game. Either a one-off on either side, I think is reasonable and not a reach. Another 7-game, Cleveland Cavaliers, Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn favored by a big 15, and it's a 224 over-under. Definitely a little scary in this game because, they're wanting to play the Nets, Harden, Irving, and Durant, these couple of games together. Yesterday was the 8th game that Irving, Harden, and Durant have played together. That's it, 8. So they do want a little more of a tune-up. Does that mean the three of them get some additional run today? Very likely, but that's actually bad news for me for DFS because the likelihood of Cleveland being able to hang in there with the three superstars playing is tough. Cleveland plays fairly slow. That doesn't help. And the fact that the three of them are going to be sharing the ball, that doesn't help. So I doubt that I'm going to go to the studs from Brooklyn. All three of them, I mean, you can't really afford to play more than one, really, because they're all priced like when they were playing individually. So, playing one of them's a reasonable idea. Choosing which one's the best one of the three is not an easy deal. But if I was forced, I'd probably go Harden. I think, he's probably going to get 30, 32 minutes because this is like his third game back since the long time being out. And he had stated right in the press that he wants some additional minutes to get his legs about him. So Harden's on my radar. After that, I think they'll rotate several guys. Don't feel comfortable with the value plays of like a Brown or Griffin or all the other guys they bring in off the bench. For the Cleveland side, are they going to finish strong here in this game? They're going to be so outmanned. As of now, we know Hartenstein, Love, and Stevens are out. So the regular starting lineup recently, since Garland's come back, is Sexton, Garland, Okoro, Wade, and Allen. Okoro, decent value play. He's really started to raise the level of his offensive game in the last couple of weeks. Dean Wade seems to get numbers. I mean, he's risky. We've gotten stung with him, and he's been a hero for us. So you got to determine which side of that you want to be on in this last game if you want to dial him up. Garland could play decent minutes. I don't think he's 100%, so I'm not going to go there. And Jared Allen is an interesting call here. He's the guy that Brooklyn traded, and got rid of, that expected to be part of this run. I'm sure when they picked these guys up for a championship, but, I guess the word was Kyrie and Durant wanted DeAndre Jordan, who's not really doing much of anything for them, instead of Jared Allen. So he was moved. Will he be extra motivated against this team? Normally I would say I dive on a narrative factor and say huge revenge game here. It's in Brooklyn. He's going to show out. All this is going to go on. But I don't see Jared Allen as that kind of player. He does not look like he wants to be in the middle of the spotlight, to be the man, to be the go-to guy. I think he shies from that scenario. I think he just wants to be a part of that group, a team, and do his role, but not be the guy that's the standout. So I think he'll get a lot of ownership because of this narrative, but it's not going to be from me. I don't trust him. I think it could blow out. I know Hartenstein's not playing, so he could get a few extra minutes, but they brought back the old man. Don't forget Vareshaw's back there. So, he'll probably get some minutes. So that will be a fade for me. I may pull the trigger on Harden if I can figure out the salary, but that's really going to be where I stand for there. Cleveland, like I said, we know that they've been out of it for a long time. They've third to last in the East. They'll get a good draft pick. Brooklyn, it's complicated here because they're one game behind Philly, and but I believe Philly has the tiebreaker. So, but they're only one game ahead of Milwaukee. So Brooklyn wants to win this game. I don't think it's going to be much of an issue with their studs playing. We should get a decent run out of those guys, especially with them wanting to play together. So, you could put all your chips in the middle of the table and try to roster two of those big dogs for Brooklyn. But with Cleveland's pace and, it's a little bit scary. But that's sort of how that one lays out. It's a very interesting game. All right, another 7 o'clocker. Orlando, Philly. Philly's favored by 8, 220.5 is the over-under. We've got a scenario here where we said Phillies first. They are, let's see here. They are sitting at 48 and 23, and they have clinched the Eastern Conference. They have the tiebreaker, so this game is not going to matter to them. Orlando, we know they've been eliminated a long time ago. They've been trying to lose games. They want to have the best shot at the ping pong balls. So this is a dead game on both ends. The question is who's going to play. Every single person on the Philadelphia team, I've never seen this before, that's listed on here is questionable or probable, but mainly questionable. No idea who they're going to roll out. Could be a bonanza for us, though. If all the dudes sit, I think they will. Simmons, Curry, Green, Harris, Embiid. Harris may play. He's one listed as probable. If he's the only good guy playing, I'm still not going to go there, though, because I can't see him playing long. But there are guys that you could play here. If it's Maxey playing point guard and getting big minutes, he's really proven that he can get it done. There are times that Shake Milton's look good. Is it going to be a Dwight Howard game? He had a suspension game before. He should be back. We need to see who the starting lineup is and who's available, because it could be the way to get one or two great value plays. Orlando doesn't play good defense at all. Again, they're not trying to win, so we'll see who's going to play or not for them. We know Ross, Porter, Ennis, MCW are out. Possibly Bamba may be out. Carter's questionable. So it's going to be the main guys that they've been playing. except RJ Hampton is listed as questionable. So he's been terrific. So if he's out, it does open a lot up with all these guys out. Mo Wagner, Brisdagus, Cole Anthony, those three young guys especially, I think are interesting here. Harris and Bacon have been playing like half the game, not willing to go to that extreme. So a weird game, probably the one that stinks as one of the worst games, but it also could end up being the key to a winning lineup. If you can get a couple of value guys out of here that are going to get 35 minutes and in a game where both sides are just going up and down and scoring. So I've got huge eyeballs on this game because I want to see who's in, who's out, and what the starting lineups are, because that could come into play for me in a big way. All right, we keep motoring. We're getting there. I'm not even going to count the games down because there's so many. It's mind-bending. But it is another. Now we move to the 8 o'clock games. Miami Heat -5 against Detroit. Where does this game stand and what matters? Well, it doesn't. Detroit's last in the East, one game behind Orlando, and they want to stay one game behind Orlando, so they're not going to care to win this game by any stretch of the imagination. As far as Miami goes, they are sitting 6th, so they know that they have the entire play-in tournament off. They're one game behind the Knicks in Atlanta, so there is a chance the Knicks in Atlanta lose, and Miami could shuffle around in that 4, 5, 6 spot. So, some semblance of, care for Miami. I mean, they're going to want to go out there and take a shot at moving up in the standings. So, who's going to play? Who's going to be in or out? We know that Butler sat last night. So he's questionable today. I think he plays. I think yesterday was a rest game. I think they finished the season, win this game, try to move up to 4th or 5th from their 6th spot. So I think Miami goes after it. I'll tell you right now, one of my better bets today is Miami -5. I think Detroit's team is beyond atrocious. Everybody's sitting. It looks like it's going to be Josh Jackson, because they have multiple Jacksons, Diallo, who had a great game, Saddiq Bey, who's been scoring, and it looks like a last hurrah for Mason Plumlee gets the nod, because all the young dudes are sitting. Stewart and we know Smith's out, Magruder, Grant's not playing, Ellington's not playing, Dumbuyu is out again, Servetus or whatever is out. Frank Jackson, possible, but doubtful. Corey Joseph, questionable. I think Miami smacks them. I think that this isn't going to be a game. As far as possible playable guys from Detroit, Diallo more than likely will face Jimmy Butler defense. So, hello, Mr. Diallo. It was fun while you had a chance. Probably not going to go there. Saddiq Bey may get Trevor Ariza defense, another check mark. And, Bam gets to play probably against Mason Plumlee. Now, Mason Plumlee, if he does really get a ton of run here, they'll probably use Tyler Cook a lot too. But if Plumlee gets 30 minutes, he could smash. I mean, he's a monster rebounder, and he does get buckets. So, very risky play, but a possibility. But this game in general is going to be a pass for me. I think Miami hammers them. They'll want to win this game, should lock it up early enough that their key guys won't get massive minutes. But, they'll play enough that the subs aren't going to really qualify for a lot of action. So not a game I'm really looking forward to, and I'm ready to move to the next one. 9 o'clock game now. We've got Sacramento is playing against the Jazz. Jazz are an 11-point favorite. It's a 225 and a half over under. We have the Jazz. Let's see here. we have that standings for the Jazz in Sacramento. We know Sacramento's been eliminated. They're in that group of 31 win group, so they could care less either way. They've been playing their guys. I know Walton's trying to save his job. Good luck with that. So we don't know, really what to expect. We're going to need to see who those guys are suiting up. On the other side of the ball, excuse me, one more drink, sorry. Okay, appreciate that. All right, on the other side of the ball, Utah. Does it matter to them? Well, here's the scenario. We look at the standings. Utah Jazz are 1 game ahead of Phoenix. They want to win this game to clinch the entire Western Conference first place bye throughout. So it does matter to them. Sorry about that, Sacramento, but that's the word. It looks like dress rehearsal for Utah to try to win this and get the first seed. The 5 regulars as of now are scheduled: Conley, Ingles, Bogdanovich, O'Neal, and Gobert. Their regular rotation with Niang and Clarkson and such off the bench. We know Donovan Mitchell remains out for the season. Sacramento, I think Walton probably plays a good chunk of his guys that he's been playing and try to have a decent game. DeLon Wright's been terrific. Buddy Hield's had a good run. Harkless has been playable at times. Medu has really stepped up. And Damian Jones has been very good at center, but he's going to get at least half a game probably from Rudy Gobert. Not one of my favorite games. You do have the worst defense in the league in Sacramento, so it should allow for a lot of open shots from Utah. If they're going to get enough run, I think Bogdanovich could be a playable commodity, maybe a Joe Ingles or Jordan Clarkson. Those guys are all playable just because it's against Sacramento and they don't defend and they play fast. Sacramento side, though, it's the opposite. Slower team, great D. Not sure that they won't go to their bench sooner. Metu, Jones, both still will be into consideration for me. But on the Utah side, after a couple of those guys, I don't trust the full minutes here. Especially if they wrap this game up, in the third quarter. I'm sure they'd like to get a few extra minutes rest for a Conley and a Gobert. So some possibilities here on the Utah side, more than likely passing unless I get one value big from Sacramento. All right, we go to the Los Angeles Clippers and the Oklahoma City Thunder, another 9 o'clock game. The Clippers are minus 7.5. It's a 221.5 over under. Does this game matter to the Clippers or Thunder? Well, we know that it doesn't to the Thunder because they are on a historic losing streak. They had 20 wins way back. They have 21 wins right now. I saw a bad beat thing on SportsCenter. And it is a bad beat, man. The over-under on wins for them were 22.5. So even if they won this game today, they'd be 22-50. They had 20 wins with like 15, 16 games left. So you had it was in the bag. But they've gone on this, they sent Horford home. They benched Shea for the rest of the year to get healthy, if you will. And they gave up trying to get all these picks, which they have a record amount of picks in the next several seasons, but they have not tried. And, they're going to probably play some of these regular guys, but they don't even play them all regular minutes. So Maladone, Poku, Baisley, Roby, Brown, they went with that lineup a little bit, which is hilarious because you got a 7'1" shooting guard. I mean, they're a huge team, but, does it matter to them? Yeah, they don't want to win. So they'll use a lot of their guys off the bench. I really don't want any part of anything to do with the Thunder today. Don't trust any of them. It just doesn't make sense to me. It does matter for the Clippers, though. But but does it? They're tied, dead tie with Denver for third and fourth. So it determines who they're going to play. Do the Clippers want to play the Mavericks? Do they want to play Portland? Do they possibly want to play Los Angeles Lakers? Well, they don't want to play the Lakers. I would assume that they want to play Dallas. So, but all these games today all mix around. So it'll be a lot of scoreboard watching. It's going to be tough to say. So the jury's out on this one. This whole scenario with the Clippers, Mavericks, Portland, and the Lakers, the Clippers can go up one to Denver and it changes who they play. But then the Mavericks, Portland, and Lakers are all within a half a game or one game of each other. So it's going to all shuffle around. How long do they play their starters? Right now, they're, Beverly, George, Leonard, Morris, Zubats, and they do have their bench back. All their key guys are back now. So, just too tough of a game to risk. The Clippers could sit guys at the last minute. I don't think they're going to play monster minutes for this group. And we know the Thunder's been getting beat by 30 and 40 and 50 points. So stay away game for me. Don't have the guts for that. I know it's one of the later games, but really, really don't want that kind of stress because it is just all over the place. All right, believe it or not, we only have 2 games to go. 13 down, 2 to go, and we're holding up all right. There's last 2 games again at 9 also. They are Denver Nuggets and Portland Trailblazers. The Trailblazers are minus 11. It's a 230.5 over under. As far as the standings go for Denver and Portland, we've talked about that. This matters for both teams. Denver and the Clippers are tied. Does Denver want to finish third or fourth? That's going to be something we have to figure out who they want to line up against and play. I assume they're going to try to win this game, and make some type of effort there to at least get, that spot locked up. So we'll see where that stands. As far as Portland goes, Portland is, like I said, right in that squeeze. This is probably more important to them than anybody else. Because if they lose and the Lakers win, they fall into that play-in tournament, which is, the way these teams act, that's like a death sentence. So they're avoiding that play-in game at all costs. So they're going to go after it probably harder than anybody else. On top of that, if they win and Dallas loses, they'd move all the way to 5th. So it could change everything. Very interesting. It really is. So this is a game I think Portland really comes out and goes after it. And I think Denver, is going to want to win as well. So key game, I think, looking at this, you've got, like I said, 11-point favorites for Portland. I think it's because it's so much more important to them than it is Denver. Their regulars should get the exact run like they normally do. Lillard, McCollum, Powell, Covington, and Nurkic with Cantor and company off the bench. Denver as of now has Campazzo, Rivers, Porter, Gordon, and Joker. They're regulars, but I don't know how long they go with them. It just depends on how the game goes. Barton and Dozier remain out, so their rotation isn't quite as big as it was, but they've been playing Conchar and Bol and a bunch of different guys minutes, in that young backcourt that they have as backups. So not going to mess with Denver here. I know the Joker's been fine even in games that don't matter that much, but we'll see. I don't really want to spend up for him. And I think the rest of the guys, their minutes could be within risk. Portland's the side I'm interested in. I think Lillard is playable. McCollum would be a second choice for me. I like Powell's price is a little bit more, workable for me. Nurk always, wants to play harder against the Joker, his old team. Does he get enough minutes with Cantor right behind him? He very well may. So I don't, I think Nurk's a possibility because I also think he may face some of Denver's backups. So I'd like some exposure to Portland. Think this is a game they want to win. And, I think Denver's defense has not been tremendous, and especially with their subs in, hasn't really done much this last month. So a couple shots for Portland here, I think would make the most sense, and I think it can really be a good play for you. All right, game 15. Believe it or not, here it is, late game with all the rest of that grouping. It's the Bucks and Bulls. Bucks are favored by 2.5. It's a 222.5 over under. You've got a situation where the Milwaukee Bucks are sitting in third. They are one game behind Brooklyn. If Brooklyn loses and Milwaukee wins, Milwaukee would move into the 2 spot. So they do have some, motivation to want to win this game. So that is an interesting deal. Chicago's been eliminated. They could care less. They're not really, if they had their druthers, I'm sure they'd lose, because there are 2 31-win teams right above them that'll probably lose. So, very good chance Chicago, doesn't give the full effort here, which really takes them out of play for me. But it doesn't give me enough confidence that I feel like, I really want to go heavy on Milwaukee side either. Levine, Tice, Brown, Satoransky, all questionable guys. I would assume will sit, to be honest with you. Right now they have penciled in Kobe White, Patrick Williams, Vuk, and then a couple of their bench guys. So not ideal. We know Milwaukee plays fast. So, a flyer on White or Williams, I guess, isn't a bad play. You can't play up for Vuk. I'm not going to do it. How much run do you get out of the Milwaukee regulars? That's going to be a tough decision. They played yesterday. It's a back-to-back to end the season. They do want to win this game, but I don't know how long of a run you get from their regulars. And Coach Bud is notorious for not playing those guys or scratching them late. So we have to follow the news heavily here. We could have 2 of the starters out, all 5. He's been known to sit his top 7 guys. So 100% news dependent on the Milwaukee side. I don't care much for this game, though. Way too many variables, and they'll know pretty much all the teams that affect them have won or lost, which will also affect how they play. So not a game I'm going to target by any stretch, but I will be watching for that news. So that is it, my friends. We've gotten through a 30-team, 15-game schedule. That gives you an idea of the BetUS.com.pa Vegas lines. It gives you an idea of somewhat who's in and out and what games matter and which games don't. So I hope that helps you big time. If you want to join us here at DFS Coach Talk, it's dfscoachtalk.com. You can sign up for our newly announced playoff NBA package, which is only $111 for the full 2 months of the NBA playoffs, May 22nd to July 22nd. If you want to just test us out, maybe test us out some this week during this play-in playoff event. It's a 3-day pass for $10, so you can try us out there. You can sign up right through our website. If you're watching this on YouTube, please take a second to hit that thumbs up, smash that button to subscribe. That means a lot to us. And click the little button up top that shows that the alert for when our podcast posts. If you're watching us on any of the audio, or watching, I guess listening would be the term. If you're listening to us on Podbean, Stitcher, iHeart, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all of them, quick 5 stars, a quick couple words. We really, really appreciate that. We do bring a free podcast in front of the wall 7 days a week in the NBA, and we do appreciate that support. All right, that is it. We are done getting ready for a very exciting day of sports. Our golfers are looking fantastic going into the 4th round. As I peer out the window here, it is raining right now in Dallas. So are they going to get this final fourth round in of the Byron Nelson? We will see. Fingers are crossed. We also have a full, huge 10-game slate in the MLB. Our guys, Tyler and Josh, will be providing lineups for that today, and they're hot, so you want to get in there. And then, of course, we'll have the slate broken in two by DraftKings and FanDuel, where you'll be able to play a full afternoon slate and then a main slate that'll have 10 of the games. So it's going to be a great day. I hope this helps you and you enjoyed it and really appreciate it. Tomorrow we're off, no podcast because there's no play, no NBA play tomorrow. But Andrew and I will both be back on Tuesday to start this playoff run. So we're very excited about that. Hope you join us again on Tuesday. And we will definitely be looking to crush it in NBA DFS.